On July 12th, Paramount Pictures presents a new film from the director of Gremlins.
On July 12th, Paramount Pictures presents a new film from the director of Gremlins.
Explorers. The adventure begins in your own backyard. Explorers. Rated PG. Starts Friday, July 12th at a theater near you.
Explorers. Rated PG. Starts Friday, July 12th at a theater near you.
That was my take on the Explorers TV commercial. Chuck Loaf here, 1200 Films Podcast, all horror all the time. We'll be covering Explorers, the film review, later. Of course, the rating system on the bottom, we got dumpster fire garbage, then can't quite recommend, and then okay if desperate, then put on the watch list, and then put on top of the watch list. Looking over the films we're covering today, nothing is going to be on top of the watch list. Sad to say. Nothing. That's not a bad thing, it's just nothing great stuck out. So let's blow this Tootsie Pop and get going. 1982, class of 84, critic rating 74%, audience score of 67. A familiar name came up during the opening credits of Michael Fox. I was wondering, is that Michael J. Fox? And yes, it was. Pre-Back to the Future, he looked like he was 14, pre-puberty, 4'2". He was 20 years old. Wow. But in this film, there's this new teacher, and he's coming to town and teach this at this school that's full of hooligans. And there's this one specific hooligan that's kind of the leader of the hooligans. They deal drugs, they deal prostitution, they deal with all kinds of things. And the teacher's the specific teacher, he's an art, or not an art, but a music teacher. He says, "Enough's enough, I'm bringing this guy down." So he starts messing with him, starts making his life difficult. So then the leader of the hooligans starts making the teacher's life difficult. And it goes back and forth, and then it explodes, Kind of edgy for being made in 82, but it was okay if desperate. It is worth it to see. In my consideration, a 14-year-old Michael J. Fox. But moving on, 2019 Braid, critic rating of 86%, audience score of 61. This got a lot of buzz as one of the better 2019 horror films, so I was anxious to see it, and I was let down. The direction, the cinematography, it's beautifully shot, beautifully made, but the story was exhausting, put it mildly. These two chicks, it goes back and forth between these two chicks and their friend, and they were really rough with the friend, and one time they dropped her from a clubhouse and almost killed her, and then she's like kind of crazy, the friend, not the two sisters. But then it fast forwards like 20-30 years later, and they come back to hang out with the friend they almost killed. They hang out with her for money, apparently, so she can play her weird games with them, like tying them up and like threatening to kill them. Yes, bizarre film, weird. I can't quite recommend this. This was weird. I am looking forward to see what the director does next, because, like I said, it was nicely shot. It was just dumb. Then we got 1985, Explorers. This is not a horror film. It's a science fiction-y, intense movie. If you're a kid. Somehow I missed this as a child, so I was excited to find this. Critic rating 77%, audience score is 66. This said River Phoenix. And who was the other one? I can't remember the other one. River Phoenix was, he made this just before he made Stand By Me. And then he got big and famous, and then started doing drugs, and then died in a puddle of his own puke outside of Johnny Depp's bar. So good for him. I'm going to find out who did this. I'm going to put this on pause once. Ethan Hawke, that was the co-star. Sorry about that. I had to find out. River Phoenix, Ethan Hawke, and some other kid. Okay, so this is a movie. First half was great. Second half fell off a cliff. First half, they're making this little spaceship in their backyard with odds and ends they find in a junkyard. And River Phoenix is a nerd, so he's kind of stealing stuff from his dad to make this thing. These high-tech computers back then. So eventually, then they go exploring, and then they come back home, and then they go exploring again later, and then they get sucked up by aliens. And that's where the movie falls off a cliff. But I guess if I was a child, it might have been fine. Big fans of 80s, yes, I'd say okay if desperate. If not, can't quite recommend. Oh God, 1994, Tammy and the T-Rex. This was originally called Tammy and the Teenage T-Rex when it was first released, but it was highly edited. So many years later, as in just recently, they re-released it with all the gore in it and renamed it Tammy and the T-Rex. They took out the teenage. This new version has a critic rating of 100%, audience score of 43, difference of 57. Paul Walker was in this, and he looked like he was 16? Maybe? Apparently he was 21. He was drinking age. Amazing. These Hollywood people, they age different. So the synopsis of this film. Tammy is, against the wishes of some jealous ex-boyfriend, is going out with Paul Walker. So the jealous boyfriend ends up leaving Paul Walker out in the middle of a wildlife sanctuary with lions and stuff, and he gets mauled and almost dies, but he's in a coma. So then the scientist steals Paul Walker's body before he dies. Well, he was about to wake up, actually, but he was still in the coma. But steals Paul Walker's body and then inserts his brain into a animatronic, life-size T-Rex. So Paul Walker, being confused and angry that he was left to die, starts going on this killing rampage, killing all the people involved with his demise, while simultaneously trying to get back in the good graces and be a boyfriend to Tammy. Yes, bizarre, but not bad. I'd say okay if desperate. This one, 1988, PsychoCop. There's no critic rating, an audience score of 21. There is a sequel made in 1994. I don't know if I'll watch it. PsychoCop, basically, it's a PsychoCop. This group of friends in college, they inherited this big mansion. One of them did, so they decided to go hang out and drink their brewskis. And then this PsychoCop, who's a local cop who has gone off the handle, starts killing them off one by one. The one-liners in this film are so bad. So the PsychoCop is choking one of them, right? So the kid that he's choking kicks him in the balls and runs away. And the cop says, That's resisting arrest. And it just goes from there. Oh boy, yes. Dumpster fire garbage. There's nothing redeeming. The acting is so bad. Never seen acting so bad. This is like 10th grade drama club bad. Then we go to 2019. Border. For one, this is not a horror film. This was discussed and brought up in a lot of top 2019 horror films possibilities, and this, they said it was almost horror or horror adjacent. It's not horror. The last scene was horrific. Until then, it's not a horror. Critic rating 97%. Audience score is 76. So this girl, a woman who looks like a Neanderthal. She looks like one of the characters from the Geico caveman commercials. Remember those? And she has a knack for sniffing out bad people at airports, so she works security there. She can just look at you and tell you, oh, he's got something wrong there. And so they pin him down and find drugs on him, and that's what she does. And then eventually she meets this other Neanderthal who she can't quite figure out, probably because he's also a Neanderthal. And she so she has the guy, the other Neanderthal guy, patted down, and it turns out he doesn't have male parts. But she's still enamored with this other Neanderthal and invites the other one to her house to live in the guest house out back, which is basically a shack because she's living in a trailer. So, and of course, the husband that she never ever has sex with is jealous. Yeah, a whole lot of not much. It's not really worth it for one scene of horror at the very end of an hour and 45-minute movie. So I would say can't quite recommend on this one. Then we go to 2009. Remember that year? To 9 Miles Down. No critic rating, audience score of 27%. This wasn't that bad. This starred the guy that did the Highlander TV series, if you remember his name. Adrian Paul, I believe. I didn't write it down, but I think that's it. He made this movie. It's an Australian film. This wasn't that bad. This was not horrible. They're digging down, the scientists and stuff are digging down to the further down in the Earth's crust than they ever have before. So it was a new thing, and then they all kind of vanished. Disappeared. So Adrian Paul, Highlander without a sword, decides he's top security, so he decides to go check it out. And all these weird things are going on, and can't find anyone except for this one chick who claims to be a doctor. She's a doctor of something. And of course, they have a little love thing in the middle of it. But then eventually he starts kind of losing his mind, and it kind of flip-flops back and forth between reality and his dementia, and it kind of overdoes that a little bit to the point of almost driving you crazy, but it still was not bad. I would say this is okay if desperate. Yes, okay if desperate. Just hang on for the ending. But okay, now to our feature review, Lore.
What are you doing up here?
I'm looking for one of them.
Who?
My son.
Where are we going exactly?
There.
That connection I felt with him since the moment he was born. It's what's kept me going since he went missing, and I still feel it.
We need to head back. This is a warning.
That tree. There's something behind that tree.
It's me! It's me!
If God exists, and so does evil.
Lore. Nothing on Rotten Tomatoes about this. IMDb has it as a 6.1 out of 10. Voodoo incorrectly had this listed as a 2020 film. It is not. Sadly, it is a 2017 film. And it co-stars Eric Roberts. But, so this chick her son decides to go into this mountain by himself, camping, and disappears. That's why you shouldn't go camping by yourself. So the mom is going to go after him no matter what. So the ex-husband, I guess, tags along. And they find this guide to bring him along. And things get creepy pretty quick. And it goes from there. There is one part of bullshit I have to call this movie out on. So at one point, this chick is running out of this cave at 100 miles an hour for like a half a mile, then scales down this wall that's maybe 200 feet tall, and then runs another half mile at full speed. And then they get a close-up of her, and she's like, blah, 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 and she's completely fine. Did all that running and climbing, and after one big deep breath, she's caught her breath, and she's perfectly fine. I don't care who you are, you can't do that. That's impossible. So I call BS on that scene. But other than that, this film was great. There's a lot of scares. It's a lot of spooky. It's not really a Bigfoot film, as I was hoping it was, as it kind of led me on to believe. But whatever. It's still good. It's still the best thing I watched on this batch. Like I said, it's not going on top of the watch list, but I would say put it on the watch list and watch it when you get to it. It's worth a viewing. So let's get to what are we doing next time. We got one called Derailed. And it's not spelled like you would think. It's D/railed. Co-stars Lance Hendrickson. Then we got Bad Blood, who stars the kid from The Loved Ones. So we'll see if he can follow up. I doubt it. Loved Ones was the best film ever. I shouldn't say that. But then we're finally going to see Joker. Then we have a horror documentary called Terror in the Skies, made by Seth Breedlove. Seth Breedlove has made a lot of fantastic Sasquatch and alien themed documentaries that were all really good. So we'll see about this one. And then a movie called Trick. And then another one that got a lot of buzz for being a top film of 2019 called The Nightingale, which is currently streaming on Hulu. If you want to beat me to it, go for it. So we'll cover that and maybe some more. We'll see. But yeah, that's all I got for you. So I will talk to you later.